Hey everyone, it's July 5th, 2020, 12:30 p.m., 88 Fahrenheit, 30 Celsius. I'm here with Tom Delgado, and today we're going to be walking Greenpoint, Brooklyn.
It's a beautiful day.
Yeah, beautiful
Let's
day,
do it.
but hot.
It's hot. Hopefully this
Very
camera
hot.
doesn't overheat.
It's going to overheat.
Right now we're on the East River. Got a good view here of Manhattan. You can see the Empire State Building, see the Chrysler Building. And then here to the south you see this Con Edison plant. And then Lower Manhattan, and then there's the Williamsburg Bridge.
Beautiful view here.
Beautiful.
By the way, the park where we are now is called the Transmitter Park.
Yep, this is the WNYC Transmitter Park. So we're in Greenpoint. This neighborhood is it goes from the East River over to there's a Newtown Creek it's called, and it curves over to the east side of Greenpoint. So it's like this little chunk, it's like this little triangle at North Brooklyn. This is the last neighborhood in Brooklyn before you get to Queens. This is where you live, right, Ken?
Yeah, that's where I live.
There you go. But no, this is Greenpoint, and it's relatively, for how close it is to the city, it's relatively isolated because there's no subway that takes you into Manhattan from Greenpoint. The only subway that runs through Greenpoint is the G train, the famous G train, infamous G train.
G for Greenpoint.
G for, there you go, look at that, Ken.
The train I took to get here.
Did you? Same.
Yep.
It's very, in the past, it's been very unreliable because it's only serving Brooklyn and Queens. It doesn't get the attention of some of the other subways, so it's not, it doesn't run very often, unfortunately, but it works. Anyways, that's why it's a little bit more isolated than, let's say, Williamsburg, and it hasn't grown as quickly, but it has grown. You can see like the fancy condos over there, you see that?
And they're building something here too.
Yeah, they're building another one here too. They're building a lot over here because we're over next to the water. Watch out there, Ken.
Sorry about that.
But they're building lots of these condos here in this area. We'll get to that in a bit. But this is all the water because it's got such great views. Like you saw, very beautiful views. Good date spot, Ken. If you ever want to take a date, you go down here.
You come down here, you have some drinks.
Have some drinks.
It's legal now.
That's right, actually. It's one of the weird things about New York right now during quarantine is that it's legal to drink in the streets. It's pretty cool. And we have our masks, okay? So chill out. We're just taking them off because we're outside right now. We've got to put them on when you go indoors anywhere. But anyways, we're walking on Greenpoint Ave. This is one of the main kind of through streets of Greenpoint. We're going from west to east right now. And you can see a lot of the buildings here. These are all industrial buildings.
Yeah, it used to be a very industrial
Very industrial neighborhood.
I think it still is.
There's some industry, not as much anymore. We'll talk about that, I guess, a little bit later. A lot of it's been rezoned. But you can see these buildings, like look at all these are all like old warehouse type buildings, and this is all near the waterfront. And a lot of this is what got rezoned, or what's been rezoned, and it's now, shops and also condos and stuff.
Yeah. There's a good spot down there called the Brooklyn Barge.
Yes, the Brooklyn Barge is a great little, like, it's actually a little like tugboat that pulls into like the pier, and you can get drinks and stuff on the tugboat, and they have seats and stuff, and you can get a great view of the city. Yeah. Another good date spot, Ken. You know your stuff.
Don't go there if you're seasick though, because that boat sometimes rocks.
Yeah, you don't want to throw up on your date. Check it out. Look, this is a cool building here to the left. The Eberhard Faber building. This is offices now, but look up. You see the top there, Ken? You see the pencils?
Pencils.
Yeah, used to be a pencil factory.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought it looked like a rocket or a spaceship, but now you
so those are little pencils. It's the Eberhard Faber. There's a star, which is their symbol. It was a German guy who came over. He's actually the father of the pencil, they call him. Faber family, from the 1700s making pencils. But his descendants came over, and they used to have a factory in Manhattan, and it burned down in the 1870s, and then he opened an office and a building here to manufacture pencils. They're credited with inventing the colored pencil, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
The colored pencil is
the colored pencil.
Big invention.
And also, too, before we forget, look, that's Pauly G's right there. I don't know if you've heard of Pauly G's.
Pauly G's.
You see that sign? Pauly G's is one of the most famous pizzerias in New York.
Whoa.
The line outside here is insane. Every single night, it used to be at least, to get a seat. Pauly G's, guys, it's been open for about 10 years. They just opened a slice place here in Greenpoint.
Yeah, that one's famous. It's the slice.
Yeah, that one here is only by the pie. Now they've opened a place where you can get it by the slice. Yeah. Anyways, this is all Greenpoint. And by the way, Greenpoint got its name because, you know, Ken, do you know this? Trivia question time.
Greenpoint. Because it's a green point? The
Yeah.
tip of the Greenpoint.
That's close.
I thought it was called Bushwick at first.
No, but that's
No?
close. That is close. You got your first answer was close. The answer is there used to be an actual like land jutting into the East River. It was almost like this little like hook type like protrusion, and it was green because this area was all green and uninhabited, so they called it the Greenpoint. Anyways, this is like I keep saying anyways. I gotta stop saying that. Someone called me out on your thing for saying anyways so much.
Really?
Yeah, they typed that. Anyways, I'll say it again. Greenpoint was very uninhabited. In fact, it was inhabited in the 1600s. A Norwegian guy actually settled this area. He was like one of the first persons to settle in the area, but it was just him, and eventually later on maybe a couple other families. What the big problem was with settling here in that time was the Native American populations. They would get into fights with them all the time in the mid 1600s. A lot of times it was the colonists' fault, let's be honest. But it was bloody, it was dangerous, etc. So he was the first one to settle, but even after that, there was only a few families that lived here until the mid 1800s. In fact, the Meserole family is one of them, the Collier family is another. It wasn't until like the mid 1800s that this man they credit a lot with developing. His name was Messiah Bliss. He married into the Meserole family and he saw potential. So he started to develop. There was a ferry service implemented to Greenpoint in 1850. And from there, it started to slowly build a little more.
There's even streets named after these families
right.
too in
That's
Greenpoint.
right. That's right. And we're going to pass by Meserole. We're going to pass by Collier as well. And also, too, Greenpoint's built on a grid, which is interesting. If you go to North Greenpoint, which is like closer to where you live in Queens, it's further north. It goes from A to B. It starts like Ash, Box Street, and it goes in the A, B, C, D alphabetic order. But it's broken up. They tried to do it. It's a really cool neighborhood too, because it's relatively isolated. Because of the G train, it's not as busy. You still get the kind of small town feel, and you don't get that as much.
My dream to have a street named after me someday.
Action Kid Street?
Action Kid Street or Tom Street.
Action Kid Boulevard.
Then people will wonder which Tom it is. Maybe it's the Tom from MySpace.
Tom from MySpace already has a street named after him.
Really?
Multiple streets. I wonder what happened to that guy. Maybe he's watching this. Maybe he's watching this video.
Maybe.
Tom, if you're watching this video, we want to know what happened to you.
He was everybody's friend back in the day.
He was, literally. Hey, Doug. Anyways, we're walking here. I gotta stop saying that. We're walking here on Greenpoint, and we're going to be getting to Manhattan here in a second. And it's kind of the main drag through Greenpoint. We're also in West Greenpoint. If you go east further to like the bridges, there's the Kosciuszko Bridge. Off the east over the Newtown Creek. That's kind of the eastern part of Greenpoint. We're in the western part. This is cool. This used to be the Polonaise. This was a hangout for a lot of the Polish people here. There's a Polish and Slavic credit union. Huge, huge, huge Polish. There's another Polish restaurant right next to it.
Yeah, the Karczma.
There's a really big Polish contingent here, although it's slowly shrinking. I think in 2010, the census had it at like almost 50% of the population here. About 20% was Hispanic. I actually lived in Greenpoint.
Really?
You know, I lived here for 6 years.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I lived here for 6 years.
So you should really know about this
I do,
place.
exactly. Now the pressure's on. So yeah, I used to live towards the east. Now we're getting to, this is the main drag I was telling you about. This is Manhattan. You can see Starbucks.
I expect you to pronounce all these Polish names perfectly correct now.
Of course. Yeah, Starbucks, that's Polish. Starbucks is Polish.
Starbucks is Polish.
Starbucks. But yeah.
I know a lot of New Yorkers can't pronounce that bridge correctly.
Which
They
one,
call it the K
Kosciuszko?
Bridge.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've heard Kosciuszko.
Yeah, I've heard that too. In fact, that's how they pronounce it on the subway.
Oh wow.
There's the St. Anthony of Padua. It's a beautiful church, a little Gothic revival church from the late 1800s. St. Anthony was the patron saint of finding lost things when something's missing. It's a pretty church though.
It's pretty.
But you can see all the Polish places. Look like Polonia, you see Polomar, all these different stores.
And Mexican food if you want too.
Yeah, some great Mexican food here.
So
You see
here's
these streets
Milton
too?
Street.
Check these streets out. Look at this one. Like these little tree-lined houses, and
Yeah, those must be really historic homes.
yeah,
Over
they're
there.
not new. But they're also, you know, really like, you know, it's quiet streets. Like I said, this feels a little more isolated. Anyways, in the mid-1800s, I was telling you guys a little bit about the history. It started to become a little bit more industrial. It became kind of like, you know, because it was so close to the city, because it was so close to Manhattan, New York City at the time. That industry started to pick up in Greenpoint because land was cheaper. Also in Williamsburg, which we'll talk about in a different video. Wink. But one of the big businesses like the pencil factory, over on the water there was a few. We were talking about the WNYC Transmitter. That was kind of cool. That was actually
Oh yeah, that was actually a transmitter.
that was actually a transmitter there from the 1930s. That park that we were at was actually the transmitter for WNYC from the 1930s to 1990.
Wow.
Yeah, and then it moved to the top of the World Trade Center, where it moved to New Jersey, and they didn't need it anymore. But yeah, it became
Some old
industrial.
homes over here too.
Yeah, look at these homes. Very nice. Very quiet little streets too.
And a pigeon coming right at me.
And it's hard, yeah. That'd make for a good video. It's hard to believe though, we're right across the water from Manhattan. You're one subway stop away, but you have to find that subway, and it's usually the L that take you in.
Yeah.
But you could also go up to Queens and take the 7 as well.
The 7 to the G or the L to the
Yeah.
G. That's what most people do, I think.
Yes, the 7's a great train. But you can see how quiet like the streets are. It's like a big.
It is.
It's pretty nice.
A little bit quiet here today,
Yeah,
though.
it is quiet today. And this is a really nice neighborhood for that, you know, because it's so close. I mean, Williamsburg is so developed now. There's a lot of people, a lot of tourists when tourism is up, but this neighborhood not as much because it's a little more out of the way. It's a little north of all of that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice.
Yeah, and here's Collier Street.
And here's Collier. We were talking about Collier.
But his street isn't alphabetical, though. We passed
No, it's
Milton,
not.
and now
It's not.
Collier.
Yep. That's further north. All that stuff kind of breaks down when you get here. This is a cool building. Look, the Greenpoint Savings Bank. Put here in 1906. It's a really pretty building, a little like a neoclassical design, kind of like a Beaux-Arts style. It's very popular in the early 1900s in New York. Yep. Had that style of architecture.
Yeah, Grand Central Terminal is Beaux-Arts.
That's right. The Grand Central is Beaux-Arts, as is the New York Public Library, the Alexander Hamilton Customs House, the Municipal Building. Those are all Beaux-Arts buildings.
A lot of people waiting for City MD.
Yep. I went the other day.
Uh-huh.
Have you gotten tested?
I
Cam?
did. Came back
And?
negative.
And? Negative. Nice work. Well, I guess it's not
I
nice.
don't
You want the
have it.
antibodies though, right?
Not really, because that means I had it already and my my body got attacked. So
Yeah. But you would have survived it.
I survived it, yeah. That'll be a new t-shirt. We survived COVID.
There is t-shirts that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's t-shirts that already say that. There's t-shirts that say we survived COVID in New York. But now it's getting bad in other states, like,
Oh,
like
yeah.
in Florida and Texas, and that's where I'm from. I'm from Florida, and you know my parents are kind of freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
They're older.
Here's the Meserole family.
There's an Meserole family. Yeah, that's right. We're actually going to pass by the site that used to be his old mansion. And now, I was saying now is now there's still Polish people here in Greenpoint, but it's kind of slowly changing. They started coming in the late 1800s and just kind of kept coming. Obviously, the world wars, you know, World War II, the oncoming World War II was a big reason people came. And it's kind of cool, like you see all the little, you know, Polish writing. I learned a little. Apteka is pharmacy.
Uh-huh.
Kava is coffee.
Kava.
Kava is coffee.
Sometimes I go to Greenpoint and I get the kielbasa.
There you
which
go.
is the Polish sausage.
That's right. Yeah.
So good.
Greenpoint actually. Here's a little fact. Greenpoint had the second highest concentration of Polish people in the United States, behind Chicago. That's it. Other than that, it was Greenpoint. Here you can see this is a cool little clock. It's the Greenpoint Clock. These used to be all over the place in the early 1900s, late 1800s. It was a thing to advertise. This used to be in front of a jewelry store nearby, and you would advertise with the clock. People always looking at the clock back then, right? So you'd have your name of your store and all that stuff on there. And by the 1970s, it had fallen into disrepair and it was bought up by a family here in Greenpoint to maintain it.
I'm surprised the clock is working.
I know. That's the time. But it's maintained by a family now. Dude, this place is great right here. You got to get a shot of this. This is Peter Pan Donut. It's one of my favorite places in the neighborhood.
Peter Pan, huh?
Yeah. If you like look in here.
Whoa, look at these donuts.
Yeah, you can see like all the.
Yeah. Don't go in with an empty stomach. You'll buy everything.
This will put you to sleep right there.
Wow. Here it is. Peter Pan Donut and Pastry Shop.
That place has been there for like 60-something years. It still has like old school prices too. It's like it's like super cheap coffee, super cheap, and they have the old school, like rounded, counter where you could sit.
I've got to check it out sometime.
It's so good. It's one of my favorite places in this neighborhood. We're gonna pass by a couple cool places though. Norman. This is Norman. This was named after the Norwegian guy who came here and settled initially. Norman.
So they anglicized his name.
Yeah. Well, they anglicized the Norseman thing, and he was a Norwegian guy. Dirk Volkertsen. In the 1630s, he was the first person to settle here.
I wonder why the street's called Manhattan Avenue, though. Probably get a lot of people confused.
I know, right? Well, you know where Manhattan comes from, right, Ken?
I actually don't.
Manhattan comes, well, first of all, Manhattan didn't exist before 1898 when Manhattan was just New York City. But the word itself comes from Manahatta, which is the Lenape Indian language, and they say it means land of many hills or island of many hills. And that's the thing, but a lot of people don't realize Manhattan used to be very, very hilly. Lots of hills. In fact, Washington Heights is actually, people don't even realize, it's 276 feet above sea level.
Actually, I did know about the origin of Manhattan. You just refreshed my memory.
Now you remember?
Now I remember.
Sure, Ken. Sure, I've heard that one before. But yeah, no, that happened. That's where Manhattan got its name, and that's where Manhattan Ave. So if you go east from here, you get to McGinnis. Then you eventually keep going. You get to like McCarren Park. On the east side of McGinnis is where a lot of the warehouses and things are still located. So, for example, a lot of those warehouses have also been converted into movie studios. The TV show Billions shoots there.
Wow.
They used to shoot some Broad City there. A lot of TV shows.
Oh wow! I didn't get that on camera, but there was a little tiny dog.
Very tiny dog.
One of the strangest barks I've ever heard.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of the tiny dogs, to be quite honest. I feel like you're gonna break them whenever you like pet them, or
It does. And they always get feisty over the larger dogs.
Yeah. Plus they're annoying. I feel like I'm gonna alienate people on your street on this video. So this neighborhood has changed. I've seen a lot of like the Polish restaurants and businesses have kind of been slowly shutting down. This Bull Bop Grill used to be a really popular Polish restaurant called Łominianka. I'm really butchering that, but now it's a little Bull Bop. There's some good restaurants. There's Calexico here is pretty good. And then that Norteña, Taqueria La Norteña is really good. La Norteña, sorry. I should use my Spanish. But this place started as a food cart in Soho. Calexico did.
I think that's also a neighborhood in California.
That's right, the city.
On the border.
Yeah, you're correct. So is Mexicali.
Oh, Mexicali.
Yeah. So this is also another restaurant here. This is Frankel's. Frankel's is supposed to be like an Upper West Side type of deli, sandwiches and stuff. Started by two guys from the Upper West Side. Recently. So now we're cutting back west, and we'll be heading kind of towards the border of Greenpoint. We started kind of in the middle of Greenpoint, and we're heading now towards the kind of the southwest, where Williamsburg starts. But you can see kind of the little outdoor shops and restaurants and stuff. That's what this neighborhood is kind of fun for. good for. More Starbucks.
Yeah, more Starbucks. Polish, by the way.
Don't drink at Starbucks, even though it's a Polish restaurant.
Wow, oyster bar.
Yeah. So this here is the park. We're popping into the park. This is McCarren Park.
McCarren Park.
You come down
I
here.
get confused with the entrances to McCarren
I know,
Park,
it is
though.
confusing.
There's so many.
There's like 3 different parks that make up McCarren Park. They all kind of combine. It's kind of cool. This is Nassau, and this is kind of entering now towards Williamsburg, really.
It's annoying when you ask someone to meet you here at McCarren
Yeah,
Park.
you don't know which part to go
It's
because
like-
there's like 3 parts. There's one with the track where you run and like exercise. There's this one with the softball fields, and then there's another one where they show like concerts. It's like a big concrete slab. Saw a couple concerts there. This is a great park though. Probably be a lot of people out. This park dates back to 1936, and in fact, where we're walking right now, most of it is landfill. There used to be a Bushwick Creek, it was called. It was like an actual little inlet that created a water. It was like a water, like a little river that cut between Williamsburg and Greenpoint. It was actually separated. They were separated. In fact, one of the big early developments was a bridge over that to connect the 2 towns. And that kind of helped Greenpoint to grow because Williamsburg was developed more quickly and earlier on. But this park was built as part of the WPA, Works Public Administration, during the Great Depression, the money given by the federal government. But this is McCarren Park. It's a really popular park here in Williamsburg and Greenpoint. It's warm, huh?
Yeah, it's so hot.
Yeah, you're wearing pants.
Unbelievable.
You're wearing pants
I'm
too.
wearing pants. That's right.
Should have worn shorts. I would definitely wore shorts.
I actually wore out of my shorts. I need to get some more.
You wore out of them?
Well, I ran out of them.
Oh,
I didn't have enough.
I thought you like wore them so much they like just started to disintegrate.
I need to get some more shorts. 4th of July sale this weekend, so.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Are stores open here yet? Like retail? I thought
Yeah, they are.
But it's you can't
went
go.
to,
You can go inside.
You can.
Oh wow. Okay.
I went by 34th Street. There was a line outside Macy's. And
Oh okay. Yeah, you went over to Gucci. You were at Gucci, right?
Yeah.
Shopping for your clothes.
I went to Gucci. That's right.
You shop strictly Gucci, right? That's all you wear.
That's all I do.
Yeah.
That's why when you see me in my videos, I'm so fashionable.
Yeah. You guys don't understand. We have to do a lot of editing to these videos because Ken gets stopped every 2 seconds, and people are asking where he gets his clothes. So these are all the softball fields you see, and then you can see across the street over there is the other McCarren Park with the track. People are running around it. It's got 3 parts, so it's that one, this one, and then there's another one over here to the right. So we're walking towards Williamsburg, which we'll talk about in a different video. You can hold your horses. But yeah, we're pretty much walking on landfill. You can see the Orthodox
Basically
Church.
a garbage dump.
Yeah, landfill. Pretty much, they fill up the water with whatever they can get a hold of. And this is Bedford here. And Bedford's kind of the main drag of Williamsburg.
A lot of parks in New York City were made from landfill.
Yes, that's correct. There's a lot of landfill in Manhattan. I mean, the island of Manhattan was expanded using landfill. Did you know that?
Yeah.
And also,
Yeah.
they've used landfill to expand Ellis Island. They used landfill to expand a lot of different islands and land masses.
All right, folks. This concludes our walkthrough of Greenpoint, Brooklyn.
We did it.
If you enjoyed it, give my man here, Tom, a thumbs up. He's
yeah,
awesome.
thank you. Yeah, and you can follow me at Tom DNYC on Instagram and my YouTube channel, Tom DNYC. I make videos about New York as well, so just check that out.
Yeah, cool dude, man. All right, folks. Take care, everyone. Subscribe, smash that like button, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.